I have enjoyed amateur radio for over 25 years. Today I'd like to share with you some of the things that I enjoy about this most fascinating hobby. Ham radio is a fun hobby. You can communicate worldwide. You'll make lots of new friends. And you'll learn how to make cool stuff. Now, my interest in radio actually started when I was quite young, back in elementary school. My parents got me this Codemaster signal set one year for Christmas. This was my introduction on how to send and receive Morse code. I always like to find out how things worked, and I can remember looking down in this thing and seeing that little coil there and realizing that that's what made that metal strip vibrate. I think that old Codemaster signal set is the reason why I still enjoy sending Morse code today. Now, back when I took my test to become a general class radio operator, I had to pass a 13 word per minute code test. I think it was in 2007 that the FCC did away with the code requirement, so you no longer have to pass a code test to get your amateur radio license. Many ham radio operators still enjoy sending Morse code, and CW, as it's known, is still one of the most reliable forms of radio communication. But there are many other ways that you can enjoy ham radio. You can talk on the microphone to people, you can send video and still pictures over the radio waves, and today there are many digital modes that ham radio operators are enjoying. The HF radio is the long distance radio, and the idea of being able to talk with another ham halfway around the world was very appealing to me. And so I'd like to start with the HF radio, and we'll talk about the phone mode first. Now, I mentioned that I enjoy sending Morse code, but when band conditions are good, I'll pick up that microphone. And I'm a general class ham, and in 20 meters, my frequency allocations are right there. That's where I'm allowed to operate. My first radio was a Kenwood 520S, and I bought this 590S about 7 years ago. So we're all set up and ready to go, and the first thing we want to do is select the band that we want to operate on. That's 20 meters or 14 megahertz. And so I basically turn the tuning dial here until I find somebody that's broadcasting. I recently bought this Yaesu 991A transceiver, and one of the things I like about it, it has this waterfall display here, and I'm pointing to it, and what you do is you find an area where there's a peak, like right there you can see it, and then you can tune to that area, and sure enough there'll be someone there broadcasting. Here's another better view. And as I turn that dial, I just zero in on one of those peaks. It's a pretty nice feature on this Yaesu radio. I like to reminisce about how I got interested in ham radio, and this here is my Uncle Ralph, and he was a ham radio operator back in the day and really influenced my decision to want to get involved in the hobby. Now, this right here is the first walkie-talkie that I ever owned, and that was back in the 1960s. Now, back in the 50s and 60s, kit building was very popular, and one year for Christmas I got this shortwave radio receiver, and my dad and I put the thing together, and I used to sit by the hour listening to the shortwave bands, and I can still remember listening to Havana, Cuba, how excited I was to hear the broadcast out of Cuba. With just a simple wire antenna and a set of headphones, I spent many hours up there listening to this little radio. So my parents and my Uncle Ralph were very encouraging when it came to getting involved in quality activities like ham radio. Now, ham radio operators like to exchange these QSL cards, and it includes my call sign into RGT and my address and my county that I live in, and just information about my station and so on. I can write on the back of the card, and on the front here I write this call sign of the station that I worked and the date, and a signal report goes right there, and then the time and universal time, and the mode that I was using, and the frequency. I've received cards from all over the world, and here's some of my favorites. Here's one from Russia and one from Argentina. This one's from Croatia and another one from Argentina. This one's from Colombia. And up here we have one from South Africa. And then over on the left we have one from Ireland, and this one here is from Italy. So it's a lot of fun collecting these QSL cards from all around the world. Now, ham radio operators enjoy using 2-meter repeaters for local communication. You can basically use a small handheld device which connects with the repeater, and you're able to talk to someone miles away. And there's also, of course, mobile devices for your car. I bought this 2-meter FM handheld in the 1990s. I think it was 1992. And it's the only handheld that I've ever owned. This thing still works. And this is the first radio that I put into one of my vehicles. And I used to enjoy, when I was traveling around, I could bounce my signal off those repeaters and talk to people all over the place. And from home here, I have several repeaters within broadcasting distance of my station, and I've got them all programmed into this little Kenwood 2-meter radio.
Partly sunny with a chance of rain showers in the morning, then mostly sunny in the afternoon. Highs in the lower 40s. Light winds becoming west 10 to 20 miles an hour.
Right now, just going by the fairgrounds, so just to give you an idea of when I'll be there, probably 15 or 20 minutes or so.
The widespread ownership of personal computers that have digital sound cards allows radio amateurs to develop new modes of digital communication. These modes are very popular today. Let's listen to what they sound like. To operate on these modes, you need a computer, a sound card, and a radio, and an antenna, of course. I'm receiving these digital sounds on my HF radio on the 40-meter band. Now, in order to decode these digital signals, you need an HF radio and a sound card. In my case, I'm using the signal link, which is then connected to the computer. And a program called Coco Modem decodes these signals. And all of these various modes are available for transmission and reception. Down below here is the waterfall display, and each one of these is an actual signal that's being broadcast on HF. Now, here's my program decoding one of these signals. I've made a contact with another ham over a mode called PSK31. And in the blue, he has just typed to me, "Thanks for the contact," and so on. Each of the digital modes has its own look on the waterfall display. And I'm operating PSK, and this is what that signal looks like. And so you click on that waterfall display right on that signal, and it will start to decode the signal. This fellow here is from Andover, Minnesota. Now, one of the advantages of the digital modes is that you're able to make successful contacts with other hams in some poor band conditions, and you're able to decode some pretty weak signals. Now, another thing about amateur radio that I really enjoy is kit building and making antennas, experimenting, and the fact that I can learn by doing. Now this is an example of an antenna that I made. It's called the coffee can antenna. It's a 2-meter antenna. And I got the instructions from a fella in my local ham radio club. And I used this little handheld 2-meter radio connected to this coffee can antenna. And I'm able to communicate over the repeaters. So ham radio has a lot to offer. And in this video I barely scratched the surface. If you're looking for a challenging and rewarding lifetime hobby, ham radio might be for you. There's probably a ham in your area or a local amateur radio club that will help you get started in this hobby.